movie talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome, one and all, to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. This is Collider Movie Talk, and now we have an app, ladies and gentlemen, available on Roku. Not Goku, he's from Dragon Ball Z. Available on Roku and Apple TV. You guys can check out the Collider Movie Talk app anytime and watch us on there as well. We're getting out there in the world, and Ashley, we have a great show today.
Yes,
and I've decided to do something different.
All right,
I think
spice
we
it up.
Introduce the panelists up top instead of midway through the program.
All right.
Let's see how it works.
Let's wing it. Also here, host of Collider Heroes, Jon Schnepp.
I don't know, this is really weird. Well, all right, Ellis, we'll just do it. You smell that? It's a cinnamon mapley Pop-Tart that you can't smell right now, but we can, and it's none of us have tasted it, but we can smell it.
Oh, it smells so
It's
good.
John Waters Smell-O-Vision. You gotta just try it someday.
Also here, host of Jedi Council, Kristian Harloff.
It's s'mores flavor, you heathen. Oh, jeez, I'm sorry. I just smell so good.
Is that s'mores flavor? God, it's
All right,
permeating
hang
through
on.
here.
Wait. Wendy, what is that?
Flavor.
All right.
S'mores.
Wow.
It's
S'mores.
Christian got it,
Harloff
but it's Wendy's Pop-Tart.
Gets the early point.
He gets the point.
Something else that you guys may have smelled is the brand new trailer for Resident Evil, the final chapter. It just dropped online, so we're going to kick off our show by talking about it. Resident Evil is one of those franchises. It can be a little polarizing. There seems to be some diehard fans of it that love every chapter in its franchise. Then there's other people who seem to wonder, why do we continue to make these films? Jon Schnepp, you were a fan. If you are not still a fan of Resident Evil and their movies, what did you think of the final chapter trailer?
Well, it's sort of like when bands refuse to keep touring. It's one of those things where like the final tour of Guns N' Roses, and then they're doing it again.
Speaking of Guns N' Roses.
And then they have the Take Me to Paradise City song that's butchered in this trailer, so much so that it actually made it very hard to watch. And if you're a fan of Guns N' Roses, yeah, I'm not a fan of the way they cut this trailer together. I don't know. I mean, Resident Evil has always been like a guilty pleasure for me, and then the fifth one was so bad that I was like, wow, I don't even know if I can see the sixth one, but I'm going to see it regardless. This trailer made me really not want to see it regardless, but I'm still going to see it regardless. Jesus.
I am a huge fan of Guns N' Roses. I think they're easily one of the top 10 great hard rock bands of all time. And this trailer really did. It was like Jason Voorhees went into the mixing studio and just chopped up that song, because Paradise City, it's an all-time classic to the level where I think it's great if you want to employ it to help sell your movie. But to chop up that thing the way they did, it became jarring. It made me want to stop watching the trailer, and it made the trailer feel longer than it was.
Totally.
Some of the action in the trailer felt cool. I like the opening sequence of Mila Jovovich getting on the bike and riding out through the town that she just conquered, and then seeing that there's one last mission, maybe last mission, that we have to get through. I think watching her have a showdown against Captain Friendzone, Ser Jorah from Game of Thrones fame, is going to be maybe exciting to watch. But Kristian, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen a Resident Evil film, and this trailer did not do enough to make me want to check this one out for the first time. How about you?
I hated this stupid trailer. I hated this thing. I haven't been a fan of the last couple of movies. I think it is just complete nonsense. It looks ridiculous. There's nothing in this movie that says it should be theatrically released. It should be a home movie made for 35 cents. It is. I hated watching this trailer, and they butchered the Guns N' Roses song, completely butchered it. There's the stupid slow motion cliche things they've been using since the 90s. It's a waste of Ser Jorah. It is. Why is she wearing makeup? It's ridiculous. There's no cities, but there's makeup still able to use. Stop these movies, I beg of you. It's a horrible trailer.
This is the sixth and final one, I think.
It's awful. It is no way. It's the final trailer until the next final
Guys,
movie.
I'll take the bullet. I'll watch it for you.
Awful.
Thank you, because I do not want to have to sit next to Kristian for 2 hours and have more of that hate. You know what, Kristian? We're going to do something nice for you now.
What?
We're going to kick off the show with the Star Wars Rogue One story. What do we got, Ash?
In addition to introducing a ton of new characters, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, will further expand the Star Wars universe by also introducing new worlds, including a previously unknown planet called Jedha. Ahead of the new trailer debut on Thursday, Edwards spoke to EW, revealing it to be a sort of Holy Land. He explained, "It's a place where people who believe in the Force would go on a pilgrimage. It was essentially taken over by the Empire. It's an occupied territory for reasons we probably can't reveal. There's something very important in Jedha that serves both the Jedi and the Empire. It felt very much like something we could relate to in the real world." EW writer Anthony Bresnikan believes that the thing is a kyber crystal, the force-sensitive substance used to create lightsabers as well as weapons of mass destruction for ancient Sith. While fans continue to consider other theories, we at least know why Jyn and her band of rebels are there. Edwards said, "Within Jedha, even though there's the oppressive foot of the Empire hanging over them, there is a resistance that won't give up, and our characters have to go and meet people there to try and secure a person from this group." Edwards also noted about Jedha, "The Force is basically in Star Wars like a religion, and they're losing their faith in the period that we start the movie. We were trying to find a physical location we could go to that would speak to the themes of losing your faith and the choice between letting the Empire win or evil win and good prevailing. It got embodied in this place we call Jedha." Rogue One, a Star Wars story, will hit theaters on December 16th. Mark, what do you think about the planet Jedha being a sort of holy land in the Star Wars universe?
Well, it's very interesting that we're going to meet this planet in Rogue One, Ashley, because it takes place not that long before A New Hope. And when you watch A New Hope, you can kind of see that the religion, whether you're talking about the Jedi or the Sith, it seems like more of an ancient mythology than something that's current. Grand Moff Tarkin even says as much in A New Hope to Darth Vader. He says that he's the last of that ancient religion. Well, it doesn't appear that's the case from planet Jedha, so they will have a little bit of continuity issues to get through. I think they will do that. And I also think that this actually spells maybe some sort of connective tissue between Rogue One, which takes place before the classic trilogy, and these new trilogies that we're going to get between Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and whatever Episode 8 is going to be called. So that's very exciting to me. I got to think that my front runner for who they're going to go look for on this planet would be Donnie Yen's character, because he seems like he's sort of Force sensitive, if not a full-fledged Jedi Knight. But I love hearing this. I love that we're getting new worlds, and that even though this is a story that we're familiar with, it's not going to be limited to just characters that we already know. We're going to get to meet new characters. They might not all make it out of this movie alive, but also new planets and new worlds to explore. That's what Star Wars should do for us every time we get a new flick. Before we go to Mr. Jedi Council about this, Schnepp, I want to get your quick take on Planet Jedha.
Planet Jedha sounds very much like Jedi. I wonder if this is where they put all those midi-chlorians. Since those went missing, maybe this is like a planet just filled with midi-chlorians. Wouldn't that be awesome, right, guys? No. I'm sure that's not it. I'm sure it's the Kyber crystal. And Kristian could probably answer this more than I, because is the Death Star, does that have one big Kyber crystal?
Yeah,
so
that's how.
Okay, so yeah, that's my guess. Is like, yeah. But did they first introduce the crystals in Splinter of the Mind's Eye? Was that where they first introduced?
They might have, but
Kyber
as far as
crystal?
official canon, I'll get it.
Okay, so yeah, it sounds exciting to me. I'm glad they're
Kristian has a PowerPoint presentation for us. So without
I don't want to
further
repeat the
ado,
same. I don't want to repeat the same points.
The host
Sure.
of Jedi Council, Kristian
I think it's
Harloff.
midi-chlorians, guys.
This is exciting though, because like nobody knew that they were going to introduce new planets at all in Rogue One, much less something that is so Force sensitive like Jedha.
Yeah, I don't like the name of the planet. It's too on the nose. Jedha. It's like, yeah, I get it. The name, they could have all the names that they had in the extended universe that they could have picked. It would have been interesting for them to pick another one, but that's neither here or there. I do love what they're doing with it. I actually hope it is Kyber crystal, because it'll tie together other things in canon that they have said, because in the Clone Wars they mentioned the Kyber crystals very much so. There was one that never made it to air, but they released it online, that is indeed canon, where Anakin, they didn't even finish all the animation, but it's still out there. Anakin and Obi-Wan go to this planet, they have the big Kyber crystal, and they mention the fact that they kind of hint that this is the one that the Empire wants to power up the Death Star. So whether or not they need more of those on this planet, I like the fact that they're going to have to battle for it, and I bet you that it ends with the Empire winning that battle and indeed powering up the Death Star maybe further than that they need to. So I like the idea. I love the idea. They always introduce new planets in Star Wars movies, so you kind of knew it was coming, that they would have to introduce some new planets. I just think that it makes a lot of sense for them in all of these movies to introduce new things that further the lore, in other spin-off movies, that further the lore in comics and books and games, just something to enrich the fan base, and I think that that's exactly what they're doing.
And I think that we're all excited to see the trailer that's going to be dropping Thursday at some point. Maybe we see a new planet or a new setting, and now we get to speculate whether that's Alderaan or whether that's this new planet Jedha that we're just hearing about. Speaking of the Olympics, by the way, our boy Cody Miller, who's a swimmer, won the bronze medal already in Rio, is actually watching the show right now from Rio. What's up, Cody? You know what he said about you, Kristian?
What?
He said you look great with that sausage behind you. You get the sausage shot today.
Yeah, a little,
I always
little
do.
peeking sausage friend.
This
So he's
Lawson
there.
looks happy to be in the
Yeah.
shot with Kristian, though. So, you know, you have
I'm
a
kind
fan.
of jealous.
Yeah,
I
Edwards
must
looks
say,
really
I want that
happy.
to be behind me.
You'll get plenty
No
of
pun
sausage.
intended, no
Ashley.
pun
Just-
I
intended.
am
All
not
right.
going
I
there.
know you guys up for
Edwards
that one.
behind you. Look at
And
that
no one-
beaming
and no one
face.
benefited.
Yeah, look at Gareth Edwards. He's like Mark likes the Terror Planet Jedha.
He's like,
I
I'm
do,
a
Gareth.
look,
a
I'm
big
on
fan.
a palm beaches.
What's our next story?
That's a
Ashley?
funny comment.
Before she suits up as Captain Marvel, Brie Larson will be getting behind the camera. THR reports the Oscar-winning actress will make her directorial debut with the independent comedy Unicorn Store. Larson will also produce and star in the film, which is based on an original screenplay by Samantha McIntyre and revolves around a woman who moves back in with her parents and suddenly receives an invitation to a store that will test her ideas of what it really means to grow up. The project has been developed by producers David Bernard and Ruben Flesher via their banner The District and was at one point set up as a starring vehicle for Rebel Wilson. Bernard and Flesher brought the project to Larson before she won the Best Actress Oscar for her role in Room, and now with funding secured, Unicorn Store is moving full speed ahead with an October production start date eyed. A release date hasn't been set. Kristian, what do you think about Brie Larson stepping behind the camera in Unicorn Store?
I think it's interesting. I think to see her doing different things over and over again, to take on a project that was intended for Rebel Wilson, who seems to do the same types of movies over and over and over again, that she's taking over a role that Rebel Wilson could have done, is outside of her wheelhouse. So I would like to see more from her because she has proven herself, even at this young age. She's a pretty versatile actress. What can she do? We've seen her do comedy before, obviously, in 21 Jump Street. We can see, and we'll see her do it again. And we'll see her doing these kind of the different kind of movies here. So I would like to see what she's going to do here. I can't say whether or not I'm so excited about the movie yet because there's no trailer, there's no team involved. It's early, but she's one of those actresses that I start to get excited when I hear that she's doing new things because she's Room. If you didn't see Room, you have to. You have to see that movie because she just shows she's going to be around for a very long time. And I also think that's why it's exciting why she was announced as Captain Marvel and then she's doing other projects like this. So, yeah, it's very interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Brie Larson in front of the camera is no question. She's a great talent. She's proved how versatile she is in her short careers thus far. The question is, do you want to see her step behind the camera and direct something as well? Not anything that's like a huge, big budget property that we already know. I don't want to see her doing a Star Wars movie anytime soon. But this sounds like a cute little story, so I'd like to see her try it if that's what she wants to do, in the same way that Chris Evans did that little romantic comedy that I didn't see. And it's like it's a passion project he wanted to do. Clearly, this is something that Brie Larson cares about doing. Doesn't seem to conflict with any of her other upcoming projects going on. So it's probably not going to take that long from start to end. It's an interesting take. It's something that an artist, a lot of times you see people who are actors or actresses, they have a desire to get behind the camera. So try it out. It sounds like a cute story to me. What do you got, Schnepp?
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. I mean, I think it's, actors, actresses love to be able to stretch their abilities and try different things, producing, directing, writing, and this is something that came along and it probably seemed like a good vehicle for her to try, putting her spin on directing the thing that she already agreed to star and produce. So let's see what she does with the Unicorn Store. It sounds like a fun little premise, She learns about herself in a magical world, unicorns. Who knows what it's going to be about? Does she go to a unicorn place, or
will we see a unicorn in the? Will we see a live, full-fledged unicorn in this movie, Schnepp?
Yes.
Kristian?
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to see a live. Ashley, do you think we're going to see a real live
Fingers
unicorn?
crossed. Fingers crossed.
Wait a minute. Say it like Kristian did.
Yes.
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 You sound very upset to not be talking about Star Wars. Sorry about that. There's nothing I can do. These are the stories. So now let's go to something I know Kristian will like. Friday the 13th news.
Yay. Okay, according to a report from Deadline, the Crazies director Breck Eisner is in talks to direct a reboot of Friday the 13th, which is being brought back to life at Paramount Pictures. Michael Bay's Platinum Dunes will be producing the project, with a release expected sometime next year. Prisoner's scribe Aaron Guzikowski turned in his screenplay last month, which Platinum Dunes producer Brad Fuller called an origin-ish story. Jason's mother, Pamela, is set to be making an appearance in the new incarnation, as is his father Elias, with Bloody Disgusting saying he's actually in the script quite a bit. Back in June, Fuller told Yahoo that we were going to meet Jason's whole family, shedding some light on how it all happened. Eisner directed the fantastic remake of George A. Romero's classic horror film, The Crazies, as well as Lionsgate's The Last Witch Hunter, which starred Vin Diesel. He also spent years attached to direct remakes of The Creature from the Black Lagoon for Universal, as well as Escape from New York, York for New Line. An official release date has yet to be set. Schnepp, what do you think about Breck Eisner helming a Friday the 13th reboot?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, the rats don't seem that energetic. They seem very underfed. They seem very hungry. The sausage is still smiling. So I guess I'll get my take on Friday the 13th first, and you got to give me more news than this to get me excited about a Friday the 13th reboot. I think you can do it. I think you can release it around Halloween, and it'll be fun. Hopefully it's better than the last reboot. I think it's exciting that you might have more of Pamela, Jason Voorhees' mother, in it. If you can have some sort of, maybe Pamela and Jason with the classic hockey mask that we know and love that didn't show up in the original Friday the 13th movie, but I think the Crazies is a good starting point if you want to hire a director. But then this guy also did The Last Witch Hunter, which, as much fun as I had watching that movie, Harloff pointed out to me yesterday, it was not in fact good. So that's not a notch in the belt necessarily. Schnepp, you hear this news, you're a big horror fan. We want to see Friday the 13th rise to prominence again. Why did you make the S-Rat face?
Well, I get concerned when I hear we're taking it back to basics. We're going to tell that origin story again that we've already told 3 times. But this time we're gonna really get into it and show his mom and dad. I mean, that sounds so boring and not Friday the 13th. Just reading about this is just really? It's when are the studios going to learn that we don't want to see the origin of the character? We don't care about. They did it with the new Freddy, the Nightmare movie. They went too much into the origin of Freddy Krueger and but ruined it a little bit too by making it PG-13. That's a whole other thing. This just sounds. Look, I'm going to see it. I love the idea of a new Friday the 13th. I love the mythos of Jason, but just the premise of it to me is, I want it to be good, but this just sounds like a really horrible mistake. Let's get into what the dad's all about. What is this? It's a soap opera. It's Friday the 13th. I don't know.
Kristian, Friday the 13th reboot. Will we see unicorns?
This is atrocious. It's just stupid. It's the same thing that we talked about with the Terminator franchise. You and I talk about all the time, Schnepp, and that is go back to basics. Make it go back to what was so cool about the original Friday the 13th movie. Go back, take a page out of what Stranger Things did, or even Sing Street, which we just saw. It captured that feel of what the nostalgia of what we were. Capture that again for these movies. You don't need to go with the big budget. Now we're going to bring in his father and his sister. And Jason joined the circus. Who cares? It's just dumb. And it also got me more excited when we talked about it last week. I'd rather them put the efforts into Pumpkinhead. Nobody knows who the crap Pumpkinhead is.
Pumpkinhead's sweet.
Figure out Pumpkinhead. Do that. Let's have a new version of that and give us that nostalgia feel there. Stay away from Jason. It's done. It's a tired franchise unless you can really go back and capture the essence. Don't tell me about his father and his father's uncle and a college orgy. I don't care. Screw it.
Yeah. Okay, but maybe there's something that happens in the family that all right.
No.
Fine.
Vacation with the Jason family.
Right.
Stupid.
I would pay to see that, actually. Kids, a little hockey mask in the back, a little tugs playing with knives.
Jason, what are you doing outside, Mom?
It's stabbing his sister. It could be kind of humorous. No, we'll move on. Let's go on to buy or sell. This is the part of the show where Ashley gives us a topic, and we will simply say whether we buy it or sell it. I think you guys know how we would have felt for this Friday the 13th story, but maybe we get better news with Curious George.
Deadline is reporting that Shrek and Chronicles of Narnia director Andrew Adamson will write and direct a live-action Curious George film for Universal Pictures based on the children's book series written by Margaret and H.A. Ray.
Look, he's horrifying.
Ryan Grazer.
He just heard the Friday the 13th
Is this
news.
a horror movie version of
Ryan
Curious
Grazer
George?
and Ron Howard will produce for their Imagine Entertainment banner alongside David Kirshner and John Shapiro. Universal first turned Curious Primate and the Man in the Yellow Hat into an animated feature film that starred the voice of Will Ferrell as the Man in the Yellow Hat. Curious George was hashed by Houghton Mifflin in 1941 and has been a globally branded book series for 75 years, selling more than 75 million copies. In addition to the animated film, it was also turned into the Emmy-winning kids animated series on PBS. There is still no word on a release date. Mark buys a live-action Curious George movie.
Well, I'd sell it if it looks like Diddy Kong over there. That is a horrifying-looking monkey right there. But Curious George as a live-action movie, is it a little inevitable? Yes, but do honestly think this thing could make a huge amount of money at the box office. I do, so I will buy it. Not necessarily in my wheelhouse, but I have two little kids in my family now. I have a niece, and I have a nephew. They go crazy when they see Curious George. When they see the animated show Curious George, they lose their minds. They're glued to the TV. It's something that has held up since 1941. I think that you can do this. You can have a little bit of nod towards the adults of how weird this relationship between a tiny monkey and some guy that just refuses to dress in anything but a raincoat and a yellow hat. It sounds weird to me, but I'm going to buy the Curious George franchise going forward in a live-action realm. How about you, Kristian?
I'm going to buy it in the hopes that it turns like Paddington Bear. If it turns out like Paddington, then I have hope for it, and I think it can work. But I'm also aware that it could be a Chipmunks movie. And if that happens, then I will look at the trailer and say I am sorry to you all, and I apologize for buying in the first place. But I am going to have hope because I'm literally reading the Curious George stories to my daughter right now. She loves them. It is something that she would be very excited for. I think kids will really enjoy it if it's done correctly. It could come out to be really creepy. If
the monkey could freak them out.
It could absolutely freak them out, but it could go into what the Polar Express did. With the technology wasn't perfected yet, but now you look at something like The Jungle Book and see what they've done. It could work. And like, again, bringing up Paddington, it worked. So I'm gonna soft buy it, thinking that we have potential that it could be a fun movie.
So Schnepp, the ceiling for this seems to be Paddington Bear. The seller seems to be Smurfs. Where do you come out on this?
Why so curious?
Yeah.
That'd be my horror version of it. You know what? When you said Paddington Bear, you sold me on it. If they keep that kind of fun, because I loved the Paddington movie. I thought that was amazing. Curious George, also loved it when I was a little kid. Remember that image that Ray put together is going to give me nightmares. I don't know if that's really what the monkey looks like. That just literally looks like something.
I would so much rather have the sausage over my shoulder right now.
I want to see a peering sausage smiling than that creepy monkey. But yeah, I mean, you're right. If it's like Paddington, then I think it'll be great for the entire family. If it's not, it could be putting people into insane asylums.
All right, so we've got some tentative buys to kick off buy or sell. Now let's go to our next story, which I'm sure is happy.
A new trailer has been released for The Sea of Trees, starring Matthew McConaughey and directed by Good Will Hunting's Gus Van Sant. The movie tells the story about Japan's infamous suicide forest at the base of Mount Fuji, dubbed The Sea of Trees, with McConaughey playing a man who travels to Japan in the midst of a personal crisis that involves his wife, played by Naomi Watts, who has a fatal condition. Upon entering the Sea of Trees, he encounters an injured man, played by Ken Watanabe, and the two set out on a journey to return him home. The Sea of Trees premiered at Cannes Film Festival in 2015, with critics bashing the film soon after. A24 Films will distribute the project, adding it to their list of critical hits, such as Green Room and The Witch. The Sea of Trees hits theaters on August 26th. Kristian, buy or sell the new trailer for The Sea of Trees?
I'm gonna slightly buy it because I just wish I hadn't heard anything about it. I just heard it's got very, very subpar reviews for people who have seen it already. It also was supposed to come out last year, which I remember we were talking about it on our anticipated list in 2014. It was one of it made your list.
Made mine, yeah.
Yeah, and it just that always causes problems. And the trailer itself, it looks really depressing. Has great actors in it, but I think I have to be honest, just the things that I'd heard about it so far does weigh into my opinion. It does look like a really kind of slow, sad film. That doesn't mean it's a bad film. It just I didn't really respond to it yet. So I'm hoping that they did some fixes and everything's great, but right now I'm just not excited about it. So you know what? I change it. I tentatively sell it.
Well, I've never seen that before. A buy and then a sell. As
I heard myself, and I'm like, this isn't a buy. Who am I kidding?
You're just like the guy in the store talking to himself.
I
in
need
the
a
corner.
Snickers bar.
I am going to tentatively buy it as well, and maybe by the end of my explanation, I end up selling it. Because, look, Kristian's right. It first of all, doesn't look like the party movie. You don't invite the guys over on Saturday night to watch Sea of Trees, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bad movie, and the town involved indicates that it could be an Oscar kind of film. But the negative buzz that we have heard on this thing, it's less so the lukewarm reaction that it's got at film festivals, because I don't factor that stuff in all the time, but it's just been sitting on a shelf for like 2 years. That has to hurt its chances of being a good movie. but I'm going to buy it because the trailer, just watching the trailer, it looked very depressing, very sad. Doesn't look like a lot of people are going to make it out of this thing alive, but I got enough shades of quality filmmaking in that trailer to make me buy it. If you get rid of all the noise, I think you just watch the trailer. Is it a happy piece? No, but could it be a good film? It's got a shot based on this footage. What do you got, Schnepp?
Well, there's certain films like Requiem for a Dream, The Road, certain films that you see once and you never want to see them again because they bum you out so hard. Watching this trailer, it felt like this was one of those kinds of movies, but they just laid it out for you. They weren't like, hey, let's set some cool graphics and some music to try to get you into the theater. No, this is going to be incredibly depressing. It's going to be a bummer. It's a bummer about your relationship. It's a bummer about your life. It's everything a bummer, bummer, bummer. And then you end up in a forest with some dude telling you that everything's a bummer. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I buy the trailer for selling me not to see it. I definitely was like, hey, I can't wait to I'll probably see this maybe on cable if I'm bummed out and want to cry for 2 hours solid about my life and everyone else's horrible lives. I don't know. The sea of crying. I don't know what. I buy it, I guess, for it being a bummer trailer.
They add the movie guy. This summer, prepare to be sad.
This summer, cry like you've never cried before. Do you want to get sad? Go to the forest.
It
Do you
would
want
be
to feel
so
suicidal?
jarring to see that, or Paradise City cut into this
Sad.
trailer. Take me
Who's
down
sad?
to the actually.
Naomi
you know what I mean.
Watts, like, I've always hated you. Just like so
Right.
vinegary. Everything about like is just like
Watch
wow,
the guy from Godzilla get sad.
He's
Real
selling
sad.
McConaughey like a romantic comedy lead,
Yeah,
like
right.
from the guy who taught you how to lose a girl in 10 days.
Naomi Watts is sad
the
again.
girl from King Kong.
And sad too.
Failure to launch is Matthew McConaughey in Sea of Trees, where he probably dies. All right, let's move on to our next story.
As Sicario was building considerable buzz last year, filmmaker Denis Villeneuve was already busy writing his next project, which would mark his first foray into the sci-fi realm, Arrival. Previously titled Story of Your Life, the film is billed as an intellectual sci-fi drama with a genre twist. The first images and a new trailer have been released ahead of the film's premiere on the Fall Film Festival circuit. Arrival stars Amy Adams as a linguist who is hired by the U.S. government to decipher an extraterrestrial language when a series of alien pods materialize in the atmosphere and hover mysteriously near the ground. Villeneuve also directed the well-received 2013 crime drama Prisoners. Jeremy Renner co-stars as a physicist and recently told USA Today that the movie is a mix between Stanley Kubrick and Steven Spielberg. The film will serve as a sci-fi warm-up for Villeneuve's next picture, which is the highly anticipated Blade Runner sequel that stars Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling. Arrival also stars Forrest Whitaker and Michael Stuhlbarg and will hit theaters on November 11th. Schnepp, buy or sell the first images for Arrival?
I buy it. This looks like a really interesting science fiction film. I mean, definitely some, Close Encounters of the Third Kind similarities as far as like deciphering the language, and then kind of that weird white space where they're like they're coming, they're almost here. But it had this kind of tense freshness to it, and I love Amy Adams, so I'm definitely gonna buy the trailer. Everything that they did was just literally setting up the premise of this film. One of my favorite science fiction films is The Arrival with Charlie Sheen, which is another type of an alien invasion, global warming type of a film. Definitely check that out.
Good movie.
It's a really fun film. This seems definitely a little more highbrow, a little more of the thinking person science fiction film. I love the weird spaceships. They look like the Monarch should be in there, if you know the Venture Brothers reference I'm doing. But I buy this trailer.
Yeah, huge buy for me too. I like how short and sweet it was, how it was a teaser trailer in every sense of the word, because at the end, most trailers would feel the need to show you what everybody's reacting to, and this one's like, now that might change because this was a teaser, and at the end of the teaser, it says, hey, don't worry, you get another trailer August 16th. So in a week, we get another Arrival trailer, and I want more mystery. I want to keep it where we don't know what the hell we're dealing with. We just see the look on the actors' faces. Like Schnepp said, the talent in this thing is remarkable. I trust Denny behind the camera. Kristian, this thing looks like it could be a pretty surprise hit.
Yeah, it's a big buy for me. I really like where we're talking similar about Brie Larson. I like where Villeneuve's going with his career as well, doing different things, doing new things, giving us a little bit of that kind of Nolan tease with this trailer also, not giving you too much, and it probably will give you a little bit more as we get closer, and that's okay. I love the way this guy makes movies. I love the way he tells stories. I love the performances he gets out of his actors, and it did the job in this trailer of ending it going, oh, here we go. Like it had that kind of District 9 feel almost too. So yeah, this is something I'm super excited about. I never really knew this movie was coming out.
It was off my radar.
And the fact that now it's coming out in November gets me excited. It's now jumped up to one of my most anticipated movies of the year for sure. I also like seeing Forrest Whitaker in there. He's going to have one in November. He's going to have one in December.
That's right.
Back to back with alien type culture. So I'm in.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we're gonna see like whatever the opposition is next week when we get a trailer? Do you think they're going to continue to hide it from us?
I hope not.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Look, you got us. I want to see this movie now. Now, don't show me everything. That's kind of how I feel about the modern trailer. And like, this is a really good example of the restraint of a trailer, yet still intriguing you enough to be like, man, I can't wait to see this film. So.
Right, but it did, like, right after that great ending say, hey, come back August 16th because we got more footage to show you. Will there be unicorns in it? We'll find out next week. In the meantime, let's check in with our own Wendy Lee, who is over there in the webcam monitoring the chat room. So, Wendy, let's go back to Planet Jedha. Let's talk about that. Are the fans enjoying that title? Do they think it's going to add some more to Rogue One? And then let's see if they're buying or selling this new Arrival trailer.
Well, some of our live viewers are pumped that the Jedi religion is included in this movie, but not everyone here in the chat is really sold on the name Jedha, saying it's just a little too on the nose. Ishan Parmer says Harloff Minor would have been a better name.
Nice.
Ian says, I am sure they'll tease the planet the whole film, and then they'll show up for the last 10 minutes. And Omar Joris says, ooh, this Star Wars news tickles me deep in my force.
Creepy.
Yummy. This sounds so awesome. Let's get a trailer already. And for our Buy or Sell segment, for the Arrival, the chat is loving the trailer. They're buying this. They like the cast. They like the director. Total buy across the board for them.
All right, then let's go to opening this week in theaters. There's a bevy of movies coming out, so Ashley, let's talk about a couple of them today. What do we got?
First up is Sausage Party. Life is good for all the food items that occupy the shelves at the local supermarket. Frank, Seth Rogen, the sausage, Brenda, Kristen Wiig, the hot dog bun, Teresa Taco, and Sammy Bagel Jr. can't wait to go home with a happy customer. Soon their world comes crashing down as poor Frank learns the horrifying truth that he will eventually become a meal. After warning his pals about their similar fate, the panic perishables devise a plan to escape from their human enemies. Also coming out is Hell or High Water. Toby is a divorced father who's trying to make a better life for his son. His brother Tanner is an ex-convict with a short temper and a loose trigger finger. Together they plan a series of heists against the bank that's about to foreclose on their family ranch. Standing in their way is Marcus, a Texas Ranger who's only weeks away from retirement. As the siblings plot their final robbery, they must also prepare for a showdown with a crafty lawman who's not ready to ride off into the sunset.
Oh, man, that sounds cool. Let's talk about Sausage Party first, though, because that's the movie everybody's excited about to see this weekend. It's got a great promotional campaign. And if you guys want to check out the Collider Video non-spoilers review, that is up on this YouTube channel right now. You can also check out Kristian and I's review that we have on Schmoes. What were your overall, well, I guess, what's your quick take on Sausage Party? Should people go see it?
I think that if you like the Red Band trailer for this movie and you've wanted to see this movie in general, yes, then you should see it. It is a different type of animation that you don't see. It might start the wave of kind of animation for adults that are mainstream. I know there's tons of animation for adults, but I mean, as far as mainstream goes, but I will say that I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I was very excited for this movie. I really want to see this. I got some laughs. I thought that the cursing kind of got repetitive after a while, and it lost its touch. But I think that there are some moments, and I also would have liked to seen them get out of the supermarket more than they did. But that being said, there are some really strong laughs, and there's the ending alone is worth the price of admission. So if you want to see it, I would say you should.
Schnepp, did you love the trailer for Sausage Party? Is that what you're paying for this weekend?
I did. You know, it was disturbing and freakish and different. So that's what that's why I'm going to see Sausage Party, because it's a different kind of animated film, adult, and definitely from everything I've heard, disturbing and funny. So. Yeah. Definitely want to. I look forward to that, and Hell or High Water. I'm looking forward to that too. I watched half of the trailer and then I just stopped because I was like, you know what? I want to see this film, and I felt like that's one of those kind of trailers that just will continue to show you a little bit too much. But all the talent there is like great. Ben Foster's great. Pine, bridges. So I want to see both of them.
Well, I kept watching the trailer. It didn't give away too much, but I agree with you. It is something that just like, boom, it appears, and now this movie's coming out. And Ben Foster's a guy who I always trust in like a Western type genre.
Totally.
He was great in, was he in 3:10 to Yuma?
Yep.
Was he in that? Then he was also in Appaloosa, or maybe I probably made that up. Don't quote me on that one. But then Jeff Bridges, obviously he was great in True Grit. He's somebody I want to see, and Chris Pine in a different sort of role for him. So it's a movie that was not on my radar at all, Kristian. I think we should probably check this flick out.
I do want to say I heard some good things about it. I heard it was interesting. I mean, the fact that you, like you said, you thought you look at it could be kind of a direct-to-DVD video on demand. That's not necessarily a bad thing anymore. You know, the way some movies, because of the big budget nature, they kind of avoid the big theatrical release because there's no money in it. There's more ways to get eyes on it if you do release it to on demand and you know, Blu-ray. So I think that this is one of those movies that's going to benefit from that. It's getting some nice buzz. I'm interested in it. I like all the actors, so we'll see what happens.
All right, and with that, we will move on to our mailbag segment. We do want to remind you guys at the end of this show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. So go ahead, start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. And anytime you guys can email us your question, we can sometimes do it on Movie Talk or on our weekend show mailbag. collidervideo@gmail.com is the place to send it. And the recipient today is Ashley Mova. What do we got up first?
Miguel Fernandez writes, "Hey guys, I know these are times of comic book movies and sci-fi, but I wanted to focus on other kinds of films. Thus, I was wondering, which are those 2 or 3 movies you consider every single living thing must see? By this, I do not necessarily mean only classic movies. I do not mean your favorite films either. My picks, for example, would be The Shawshank Redemption, It's a Wonderful Life, or Schindler's List, but I could also include Good Will Hunting or Life is Beautiful. So, which are those films you have to watch before you die?"
Oh, man, that's a good question. And a lot of times I find myself going back to the movies that I loved when I was a little kid. So I'm going to say some of those classic Disney animations are the best that you'll ever see. I would throw Aladdin and The Lion King are my personal 2 favorites from the Disney library. Then if you want to get a little bit older, I think that you need a movie that's going to inspire you to no end, and you need a movie that's going to teach you a little bit about love, but also have some cool elements in there. So for the love story, I'm going to go with Ghost. I think that Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze are so good in that movie. Whoopi Goldberg is magnificent, and I saw it on TV the other night. I'm like, everybody needs to see this movie because it'll make you believe in something. If not a higher power, maybe love. And the inspirational movie that never fails to get me off the couch and into the gym. It's not based on a true story that much, but Rudy. Rudy is so good. I think it might be my favorite sports movie of all time. Don't punch me that I didn't say Rocky. It is just one of those things that every time I hear the music, I see Sean Astin. He's perfectly cast as this character, Rudy. It's not too much like the real life one from what I hear, but hey, it's a great film from start to finish, and it will inspire the hell out of you. Kristian, what do you got?
Well, there's a movie called Rocky I'd put on there for sure.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, look, there's a whole bunch of movies that I think combine a lot of these elements, and I'll give you my list. There's Goodfellas, there's Shawshank Redemption, there's Rocky, Eternal Sunshine, Godfather, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, obviously, Lion King, and then Braveheart are all movies I think that you should see before you check out, and Jaws.
What was that one before Braveheart?
Lion King.
That's a lie. All right, Schnepp, what do you got?
I'd say I echo Christian's list and say definitely see Easy Rider, see Apocalypse Now, and see Blue Velvet. Those are all like flavor samples from different directors, from different decades, different genres, but those are must-see films.
Back to the Future, obviously.
Back to the Future, yeah, should have been mine. Damn it. All right, Ashley, what do you got? What's a movie that everybody needs to see?
Oh, you guys were all going with the classics, but I don't know why when I read this, Austin Powers came to my mind, and I don't know why. I think it just reminds me of my childhood, and I loved that one as a kid. Also, Wayne's World. I don't know why these movies were the first things that came to my mind.
I would say that. I would say Wayne's World 2 as well. It's hilarious, maybe even funnier than the first Wayne's World. Come at me. It's true. All right, what's our next question?
All right, Brie writes, "Hey there, Collider. Now that the summer movie season is winding down, do you think there are any movies left that will be surprise hit for this year? There are the obvious hits and Oscar contenders, Birth of a Nation, Manchester by the Sea, etc. But are there any movies that will come out later this year that will take the audience and critics by surprise at how good it is? Thanks and keep up the great work."
Well, certainly there will be, Brie, because anything's got to be better better than what we're going through this summer
no,
right now,
seriously.
because the movies just have not been as good as we want them to be. But don't worry, that's all going to change in a couple weeks when The Mechanic Resurrection comes out and Jason Statham shows us just what an Oscar caliber talent. No, I'm getting the no sign. So let's shift into something else that I thought we would see marketing material for already. Haven't heard a peep about it. It's not making me nervous just yet, but this Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence movie Passengers that comes out around Christmas time. It sounds awesome. I love the premise. Haven't seen a trailer yet. Waiting on it, hoping that it comes out and it impresses me the way I think it will. Kristian, what are you looking forward to? That's a little off the radar.
Well, I mean, off the radar. I don't know. I mean, I think that.
You also got Arrival too, which we just checked out. So
Well, yeah, Arrival could be something interesting. I haven't heard. Like, that's one that, where did it come from? But yeah, a lot of the ones that have already, Birth of a Nation, everyone's been talking about. That's the one. Magnificent Seven could be interesting. I don't know about necessarily Oscars, but it could be really entertaining. I think the Girl on the Train could do something. Jack Reacher, never go back. And that's the thing. Jack Reacher, yes, we've gotten the trailers for it, and I think that the first one was kind of mixed. There's some people who enjoyed the movie, and there's people who didn't like it. I think that I have a feeling that Jack Reacher 2 is going to be a movie that everyone is on board with. I don't know what it is, but I just feel, obviously everyone's aware of it, but I just think that it's going to bring everyone to where it's like, it's more of a, you know what, that was a better movie. Even people who love the first one can say, second one was better. You know what I mean? So I think that Jack Reacher 2 could be one that surprises a lot of people.
probably because he's never going back in this one. Like there's a chance he goes back in the
Not
first
this time.
time.
Right,
But this
not
one's
this one.
called Jack Reacher Never Go Back, so we know he's never going back. So
Correct.
what do you
Tom
got?
Cruise keeps getting each of his different franchises just keep getting better every consecutive movie.
And they never go back.
and never go back.
You got any other
Sully?
movies you want to talk about?
What's Sully?
Yeah. How about Bad
Sully
Santa?
sounds good.
Bad Santa 2.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We might talk about the trailer for that one tomorrow on the show.
Yeah, but
Also
that's
throw
a-
the accountant in there with Ben Affleck.
The
That's,
accountant, is how Makuga likes to say it.
Pretty sure it's the accountant.
accountant.
We'll have to talk to Josh about that. Now let's move on to live Twitter questions. This is the part of the show where you guys tweeted us. We'll see what Ashley picked out. Hopefully it's good stuff. Ashley, what's up first on Twitter?
Food Mansing writes, which cinematographer gets you excited for a project that otherwise sound uninteresting?
It's a contest for us to say Roger Deakins first.
Deakins.
So I'm going to say Deakins. Food Mansing, great fan. What's up, Food Mansing? I'll be back up Pacific Northwest very soon.
Wally Pfister.
Trying to think.
Oh, that's
Wally Pfister's a good one, yeah. His star went down for me, and as a
But it must
cinematographer,
still
it's
look
not
good,
his
yeah.
fault. But Transcendence was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
If you're the cinematographer for that movie, you just turn the camera off.
Right.
You know,
You say
it's like,
you say it's somebody else.
yeah. So Deakins is the guy, but as one of you guys pointed out in our pre-production meeting when we watched the Arrival teaser, it's not.
It's
Deakins.
not The Arrival. That's the one with Charlie Sheen. It's just Arrival.
Arrival.
Just to let you know.
No,
There's no the
There's
in
no
front of
the.
it, Mark.
Wait,
There's no
which
the.
trailer do you guys watch?
It's
You watched Charlie
Arrival.
Sheen one?
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Charlie Sheen's got to go. He's back.
Take your
Yeah,
tiger
that's
blood and go to
the
sleep.
Arrival. The one that we saw just today is
Yeah,
Arrival.
yeah.
We'll
They're
work
different
on our
films.
list for
Yeah.
you, Food Manson.
It's a subpar fantasy film.
That's right.
It's an above action.
It's not
Whatever.
Room, it's The Room.
I missed the S-Rats. I can't believe I'm saying that. What's our next question?
Mac Attack sent us an article
Yes.
talking about Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke possibly joining the new Mary Poppins movie.
Well, you have
What are
to.
your thoughts?
It
Yeah,
makes
come
total
on.
sense,
Yeah.
man. They're living legends. They still have chops. Dick Van Dyke was in some movie recently. He had a small cameo in it, and he was great in it. And Julie Andrews, obviously, you know that she's still got a boatload of talent. So I think it makes sense. Now, does this get me excited to see the new Mary Poppins movie?
Perry Mary.
No.
I can't wait to see the Mary Poppins.
Me too.
I'm gonna drag you.
He hates that movie.
He's
for some
gonna
reason.
go see it
I
and
don't
enjoy
hate
it.
You
Mary
hate the idea.
Poppins.
The idea
You
of
hate
the
Mary
new
Poppins.
one.
The
Yeah.
I
hills
don't hate
are
the idea.
alive.
No, I
hate
hate
umbrellas.
That's a different
I
song.
think it's going to make a
Why do
lot
you hate
of money.
umbrellas?
I love umbrellas.
Wow.
I use
Why
them
do
all
you
the
hate
time.
Chimney
Blunt?
sweep. You gotta
I
get into
just
that
What is it
chimney
about
sweep.
Emily
want
Blunt's
to
face
go
that you don't
see-
like?
I
Why
love
do you
Emily
hate
Blunt.
Why do you hate
Emily
her?
Blunt?
It's a great
Why
movie.
do you hate her?
Let's move on to our next question.
Okay, Ethan Canistra writes favorite actor pairs in movies.
Favorite
Say what?
actor pairs in movies. So the first one that comes to my mind is Mel Gibson and Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Such great chemistry. I will harken back to what Ashley answered the last time. I think Mike Myers and Dana Carvey did
Yes.
something pretty special in Wayne's World. And Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. Their movies. You know, they're not listed up there when the first thing you think of classic comedies, but like something like Stir Crazy or Silver Streak, they're just so funny together. It's unbelievable how great they are as a duo. What do you got, Schnepp?
Well, 48 Hours, the first one, Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. You go way back to Abbott and Costello.
Yep.
Go way even further back, Laurel and Hardy. Recent duos that just continue on. I mean, we've seen The Rock and Kevin Hart in, like, what is it, 2 movies now?
they've only done that one, but I think they're going to do
Central
another one.
Intelligence.
And then they're going to do
Right,
Jumanji, right?
I guess it was two movies
Yeah.
with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube, but I didn't like the second one. So
I'll go a little, say De Niro and Pesci, because they've done a few movies together, and they've kind of had a few, whether it be Raging Bull or Goodfellas or Casino, and then there was that rumor that they were supposed to all come back together, and Pesci's not doing it now. That was a bit of a bummer. But Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill have been pretty good together so far. I mean, they've had the 21, 22 Jump Street and the Lego Movie, so those that's been interesting. And
finally, we get Tango and Cash back on screen together.
That's right.
It's some movie called Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2.
Yes.
Looking forward to Kurt Russell and Sly action as a team. All right, let's do one more.
Forgot about me and Danny DeVito.
All right, Thomas Bergstrom writes, where is the buzz for the new Ben-Hur movie? Is the studio hiding it?
The buzz. I mean, look, we've had trailers. When I saw Lights Out this weekend, I saw another trailer on the big screen. I don't hate watching the trailers. It gets a giggle every time they show Morgan Freeman with the dreadlocks. He's
perfectly coiffed.
He's too famous to give him those dreadlocks. He's
the character from Robin.
Famous.
I laugh every time I see that trailer, and especially in the theater, it made me elicit oh my God, this looks horrible. It looks horrible.
I don't know that the studio is hiding it necessarily. Like there could be a movie that doesn't look good, but for the studio to be like, oh, we don't even want to show trailer or anything like that, I don't think that's going to be the case with this, even though it might not end up being that good. Is the studio hiding this movie?
I think so. I think that they had a few trailers. No one's excited about the trailers.
There's
the last
zero
trailer,
buzz.
When the last trailer comes out and everybody goes, well, it wasn't as bad as the other ones. Not a ringing endorsement. No. So yeah, I think that they realized that it's not as good as they were kind of hoping it would be, based off a classic, and it looks too modern. It looks so much. Their haircuts are modern.
It's a horribly looking shot film. It's like the cinematography looks like a soap opera.
Yeah.
And then it cuts away to weird CG horses, and then back to this real flat
it's
lighting.
It's a shame because I really like Jack Houston. I really like Toby Kebbell. I just wish that they would do better movies.
All right, well, let's
see
if
it's flatline when it comes out.
I hope
is the
not.
sausage excited about it? Let's see if the sausage is.
He
looks excited about Ben-Hur, so that's at least one person, even though I think you're right. There's not a lot of buzz for this movie, and it comes out not this weekend, but the next weekend. We'll have a review for you shortly. All right, that will do it for our episode of Collider Movie Talk. I want to thank everybody both behind the scenes here in our studios as well as the panel up front with me. First off, Wendy Lee, where can everybody find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zaney.
Big Jon Schnepp, where can the kids find you?
You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp.
And Kristian Harloff.
You can find me going up against John Roca.
That would be Scott Mance going up against John Roca, the rematch of the century. There it is, the decider in Collider. Roca versus Mance 2. It happens on Friday. Make sure you check it out. If you didn't watch the first one, go and watch that. It will make you sad. And just as much as a McConaughey movie. But that's it. Kristian Harloff, Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you check us out on Jedi Council. A lot of stuff to talk about this week.
He does Jedi Council, Schnepp does Heroes, and I am going to ask Ashley Mova. Where can everybody find you online?
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, at Ashley Mova. Happy Tuesday, guys.
Happy Taco Tuesday, indeed. We want to remind you guys, check out our friends at AMC Theaters. You guys can get all your box office and Showtime ticket information at amctheaters.com. Bookmark collider.com, because that's where we go for a lot of the stories we bring you guys each and every weekday. And, of course, subscribe right here, Collider Video, at our YouTube channel. A friendly reminder that I will be in Sacramento this Thursday through Sunday doing stand-up comedy at the Punchline. You guys can get tickets at my website right now, markellislive.com. See you up there, and until next time, bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.